Good afternoon, y'all.
Good afternoon.
Yes, there it is. Welcome to Planet Word. How many of you have been here before? Raise your hand. Excellent. Welcome back. Happy to see you, friends. And first-timers? All right, y'all gonna learn today. How we doing? It's good to have you. Welcome to Planet Word. My name is Britt Oates. I am the manager of public programs. And real quick, I want to shout out Nia Crawford, assistant manager of public programs. Nia, say hello. Give her some love, y'all. Yes, we are super excited. Today is an awesome day because we are kicking off the 2026 season of Between the Lines with Jason Reynolds programming series. And today, we've got special guest, literary event curator and community builder, Morgan Menzies, also known as Pretty Little Bookshelf. Some of y'all may have heard of her, yes. Now, today's program will include a discussion between Jason and Morgan, followed by a brief Q&A. And now, I will go ahead and introduce our esteemed guests. Jason Reynolds is the #1 New York Times bestselling author of more than 20 books for children and young adults. He is best known for his novels All American Boys, the Track series, and Long Way Down, which received Newbery, Prince, and Coretta Scott King honors. Among Jason's many accolades, he was named the National Ambassador for Young People's Literature by the Library of Congress for 2020 through 2022, and is also a 2024 MacArthur Fellow. He is on faculty at Lesley University for the Writing for Young People MFA program, and he lives right here in Washington, D.C. You can find his ramblings at jasonwritesbooks.com. Morgan Menzies is a literary curator who turns reading into impact. She has interviewed powerhouse authors who are shaping today's literary landscape. Morgan curates literary events across the Washington, D.C. area that spark meaningful conversation and foster community. Morgan has been featured in several notable media outlets, including The Washington Post, Elle, and Essence. And last year, Morgan partnered with us here at Planet Word to co-develop and pilot the Reading Lounge public programming summer series, which I think some of y'all attended last summer, yes? Yes. And super excited to announce that we will be returning, the Reading Lounge will be returning this summer right here at Planet Word. Make some noise for that, y'all. Yes. I think that we can all say here at Planet Word that Morgan doesn't just share stories. She creates spaces where they indeed come alive. Y'all show all the love for Jason Reynolds and Morgan Menzies.
I didn't see the hands. Who's been here before? Oh, all right.
I love that.
So we don't got to run through it. All right, so then y'all already know what this is about, how it goes. Morgan actually doesn't. And so there were conversations on the way, like over the course of the last couple of weeks. Here's to let you in on like how this goes for me usually with Planet Word. Planet Word is very organized. It is me, it's I, who is, oftentimes disorganized and just a little all over the place. And so usually these things come together not nearly as seamless as they might seem. But I called Morgan because I was like, because they kept saying like, well, who do you want for the first of the season, your first guest of the season? Is this would be the first? Yeah, because we did, was this second? First? So that who you want? And I was like, I don't know. Meanwhile, like time is ticking and I'm like, I get back, we'll figure it out, which is a very me thing. And they're like, nah, we need somebody. And I'm like, oh, And then I thought about Morgan. And then Morgan said, cool, I'll do it, but how does it work? And I was like, don't worry about it. You know what I mean? It ain't nothing to worry about. Again, what are we gonna talk about? And I was like, I don't know. And this is always how it goes. So for all of you who have been here, which is almost all of you, this is the way this always is. There's never a plan. There's never any conversation about what's going to happen here before we get here. There's never any phone calls about this. There's never any emails about it. Planet Word is always like, Jason, what are you going to talk about? I'm like, And so it's all very stressful for everyone except for me. And so, yes. The way this is going to go and the reason that this all started is basically Planet Word wants to do some programming, and then we came up with this idea, and I was looking for a place where I get to just talk to my friends in front of people. I think that there are conversations that are had between people that that some of which should never be public, right? Obviously, and others of which I think could almost be like anthropological studies. I think that people myself included, I like to sort of be nosy enough to wonder, what exactly do they talk about? How exactly does this work? You know, we see all these clips of, you know, our heroes now. Thankfully, there are like some footage of, you know, Maya and Baldwin, and there's, you know, Nikki Giovanni and Baldwin, and we get to see these images in these videos and say like, man, this is what this would have been like, or this is what this was like. And I want to kind of create that. Also, I just think the city needs, I think our city specifically, a city full of really smart people with no place to go.
Yeah.
There's not enough, and we'll talk about this because you're also creating these spaces. There's not enough outlets for all of these people with all this brain to go and wrestle with each other intellectually about things that matter to them, okay? The last thing I say before we get started is that there's always a theme to each show. I never know what that theme is. Usually something happens to me in the middle of the day or on my way here, and I'm like, this is how I'm feeling right now. I just came from my mama house. She got a big flood. The plumbers was over there, and it's a mess, right? I was driving in here, and I was like, okay, today the theme is going to be maintenance. The theme is not for us to steer the conversation toward maintenance. It's just to put that energy into space, and we'll see kind of what happens, okay? Question number 1, are you ready?
Yes, I'm ready.
Morgan also knows me and thinks that I'm always setting her up, but I'm not setting you up. I'm not setting you up.
So as Jason was describing Planet Word and how everything is organized and they have a run of show and it's like we know what to expect, that is how I operate. I like to know when I'm walking into something what the expectations are so that I can meet them.
Yeah, that's fine. It's okay that you want that. Like, I don't, you know what I'm saying? I think it's totally okay that that's what you want. You know what I mean?
We can't always get what we want.
I know, I'm just saying, like, life is about adjustment, right? It's about making sure that we can kind of pivot and make it happen. Don't worry. First of all, I'm your people. I'm not about to let that happen.
I know, but I can still be apprehensive.
Listen, question number 1. You ready?
Yes.
All right. This is the last book club of your life. Okay?
Okay.
4 people can come to this book club. What book is it, and who are the 4 guests?
Okay, so the book is Yellow Wife by Sadiqa Johnson.
Oh, sorry, I love her.
We, who will be there? We'll have Toni Morrison, Sadiqa. We'll also have you.
To make a mess of things.
Yes, some levity. And then our 4th person would be Dolan Perkins Valdez.
Shout out to Dolan, who lives in Washington, D.C., by the way. Why this book?
So
Has anybody read this book? Somebody in the
Okay.
somebody
Yes.
back there. That's what's up.
So it's one of my favorite books. It's historical fiction, which is my favorite genre. And what Sadiqa does, which is really beautiful in all of her books, is that she is creating spaces for stories that we don't know. And they're based on people that we don't know either. And so in this book, it's based on a plantation that's in Richmond. But today, if you drive past it, I think it's like a parking lot. So you wouldn't even know what it was. And so I think for me, the way that I move through life is with curiosity. And I think that this book really starts to like get into your head like, oh, well, if I didn't know that this existed, what else is there that I don't know? And so I think it would be beautiful to have Toni there and hear her talking about Beloved or Dolan and her book Happy Land, the ways that they are specifically centering Black women and making sure that we know their contributions regardless of how significant they may have been, but there was something there that made an impact that we should know.
What would I be doing there? I just want to make sure.
You would be learning.
Shout out to you. Shout out to you. You know what I mean? I tell you this crazy story. One time, so speaking of like this kind of dynamic, I happened to spend time with Sadiqa in Anguilla. And it was the wildest experience, right? Because you always, we all know everybody as like writers and, and writers are always seen as, by the way, writers are not this, but everybody thinks that writers are like intellects because of the work that it requires to make a book. But really, if you know writers, you know that that's not actually always the case, and that these are people who are very much so messy and all over the place. and this is usually a fight. The idea of the book itself is oftentimes nowhere near what people think it is, and that this is a lot of mess that's happening in here. And I got to hang out with Sadiqa, and this is a name drop, but it's important to talk about these things. And we got to spend all this time with Alice Walker in Anguilla, which, let me tell you, had nothing to do with the refinement of writers, and like, it was the most amazing time. And so I would love to come just so I could see the homie, especially if this is the last book club. Let's talk about the first book club. Do you remember what the first one was?
My first book club?
Yeah.
I think it may have been The Henna Artist by Alka Joshi.
I haven't read it.
Another historical fiction.
This your jam.
It is.
I have a question about this, but continue. So do you remember, so what that book club was put on by you? And do you remember who was there? Does anybody stand out?
Yes. So at the time, I was working at a pediatric office, and I kept telling the providers that I was working with about the books I was reading, and they were like, oh, like, you should start a book club. So some of the providers were at my book club. My dad was at my book club.
That's very nice. Did you talk to him like this? Did you say, like, you need to learn, Dad?
Yes. So, funny story. I got him a GoPro camera, and it was like some years ago that I got it, but he just now unearthed it from wherever it was. And he's like, Morgan, I need the access code. I'm like, Dad, I don't know where the access code is. I'm sorry. So he brought it to me to investigate how to get the access code. How am I going to work it so that he can use it? And I turned to him and I said, you know what my dad taught me? And he was like, what? And I said, to complete your task. And
see? So he does get this.
Gave it back.
Got it. So he does get abused.
It's called accountability.
Tomato. I think the reason I'm bringing up these book clubs is because so much of what we all know you for is trying to figure out how to continue the conversation around reading as a communal activity, right? Reading as communion, reading as a bread break, reading as manna, reading as reunion, reading as like these things, right? And I want us to talk a bit about something that is often seen as such a solitary act, to write and to read. We often do alone, right? I mean, as adults, so many of us are rarely read to, which is a shame, by the way. You should find you somebody in your life. You know what? If you got lovers, this would be the... I'm trying to throw you I know you do. There's nothing more intimate than being read to. There's something really special about being read to as adults. And so my question is around community and communion and using books in that way. Why? Why does this matter so much to you? We just talked back there, and I've been around you enough to know that both of us are actually very shy people, despite what people may think based on outward appearance. Both of us are really introverted people. Why do this then? Why choose to do this?
I think that we need community. As humans, community is vital. And so, yes, reading is something that you may initially do alone, but I don't think that your relationship with a book should stop there. And so I think the ways that you can use a book to form relationships or to spark new ideas, whether you are a writer looking for your next inspiration, or if you're someone who maybe you don't know how to express how you're feeling, but this book is evoking such emotion that it's helping you to put words to what you're experiencing, is what I think is important about making reading a community act. Does it matter what the book is, or does it matter what the genre is? Like, is there a different experience when you and the community are reading historical fiction and when y'all are like reading smut, right? Are those things? Yes. Are those different experiences? They are different experiences.
Not smut. Romance and body strippers. Because shout out to the genre is popping. I don't want to be disrespectful. Kennedy Ryan might be in here. You know what I mean?
No, I think both do allow a conversation, whatever it is. I think I had in-person book club yesterday, and we were discussing a historical fiction book, but we were focused on the love that existed within it. So I think there are through lines, regardless of the genre that you're reading. It really depends on your ability to see it or like lean into what's being offered there.
But are there fights?
Why are you concerned about fighting?
Well,
A debate or a fight?
Either. You know why? Because there's something to be said about art that gives us visceral
Yes.
response. Like,
Yeah.
it seems so corny, or it seems so like unnecessary, but I actually find it really, really necessary.
Yes. Healthy discourse is important.
It's okay for us to fight, yeah. I think like we have all these, it's so much semantics around because fighting is it's so like, I'm like, it's okay for us to fight. It doesn't mean that we have to harm each other in said fight, nor does it mean that we have to hate each other, but we get to fight.
So yes, I think you can fight, but it also depends on where you're coming from. So do you have evidence to support what you're fighting for, or are you just fighting for the sake of a fight?
Well, have you experienced this?
So yes, so yesterday.
Oh, it just happened. Mm-hmm. See?
Yesterday we were discussing The Girls Who Grew Big by Layla Motley. And it just came up in the conversation, and someone said how her books are heavy.
This is my favorite kind of fight.
Yes, and I said, well, heavy in what way? And they were like, oh, well, like just what the topics that were being discussed, which was pregnancy and sex, and the ways that young teen moms specifically are ostracized from community, like they felt it was very heavy. But I said that the way that Layla writes those stories is with care, and it's tender. So regardless of the topic perhaps being heavy, it's not just like thrown on the page without care for the reader or care for the community that she is discussing. And I think you can have books where it's just like, it's violent, it's like there is no care to it. And so I think when we are labeling certain books, we do need to be mindful of it, and the way that heavy has like this negative connotation, but a book can be tender, it can be caring, and still difficult.
How much, I had this argument a lot. This is sort of a thing that is one of the banes of my literary existence, where people are saying that my work or my friend's work is heavy, right? Or it's dark, or, you know, what's the one that everybody loves? It's trauma.
Yeah,
like,
or they'll say trauma porn.
Yeah, it's like, oh, it's trauma, it's traumatic, it's trauma porn, it's this, that, and the third. And I think it's interesting, right? And not because I don't think those things exist. I think that artists get to make whatever they want to make, and sometimes that's where we are. Sometimes it is that. Sometimes it is violent, right? Like there are books that are intentionally, I mean, S.A. Cosby is writing, you know, brilliant pieces of noir, which are violent, right? And so, right? And I often wonder when people like say in a space like that, and I always want to push back against everybody's job. Every reader pushes against the author, and I'm like, well, you know, some of this responsibility is on you. And we never talk about sort of like, well, how you know that you ain't bring the heavy to this book? How do we know that who you showed up as when you decided to open this up and you began to wrestle with this work? We are in conversation, the author and the reader, that you didn't bring all this weight to the story because your life jammed at the moment, right? Or because you feel a way about your daddy, right? And now this is triggering something in you, and now you hate me because you hate him. Right, like there's all this stuff.
Yes.
Like, you know, and I say that just to even bring it around to a contemporary conversation that's been going on the internet that I know you've seen around Toni Morrison. Have you been seeing I'm sure some of you have been seeing the Toni Morrison discourse. Have you been seeing this?
Not as much.
Have you been tapped out? It's good. This is a good one to be tapped out of because it's
tap me
because
in.
so much of it is I think minimizing and a bit. Yeah, and a bit frustrating, and so okay. It all begins. This will be quick because I want to make sure we get back to you. But this is a part of the life in which you are working in. So like, there's this discourse going on. It starts with Wesley Morris, who, by the way, I really respect. So it broke my heart because he's actually one of our better pop culture critics. But Wesley Morris from the New York Times has this podcast called Cannonball, and he had this episode around sort of like, basically pushing against the canonization in the saint way, not in like literary canon, but canon as in like sainthood of Toni Morrison, right? And like I'm always down for any complex discourse around anything. I just think like it's okay for us to wrestle as long as the participants of said wrestling have skin in the game. Like that's my biggest thing, right? So he, a black man, is talking with a white woman and a South Asian woman, I believe, around
No black woman?
no black women.
Immediately the conversation
No black
should not be happening.
women around the legacy of Toni Morrison and whether or not we're doing a disservice by sort of by keeping her sort of here. And then they used Namwali's new book. I know this is, for all the nerds in the room, all of you are probably like, what is going on? 'Cause I didn't hear about this. Why didn't you call me, right? There's a lot of I mean, it was and it really kind of spun on the internet for, the internet moves fast. So we had a day of this, you know what I mean? But it spun into like other little tweets of people being like, I tried. I'm never going to read Morrison. Like, I tried. And mind you, I'm also okay with all of that too, because you have to allow people to, look, Morrison, I started that when I was 21, Beloved, and was like, pfft.
Did you finish it?
No.
Because you said I started it.
I
so
started it
okay.
at 21 and was like, this is terrible. At 21, not because it was, but because my 21-year-old self was too arrogant to believe that I just wasn't ready. And then I read it again at 30 and was like, this is actually really, not terrible, but really difficult for me still. And then I read it at like 40 and was like, man, Toni really was right, and wasn't she? Right? It was like not
2 decades,
and not even because every single word was penetrating, but because you're like living in the language. You're like some of this is just happening to you as you're experiencing the story, and that there are other ways that we can read and experience literature, right? Yes. And so I say all of that to say, in the midst of your clubs, I guess my question, really, I was trying to catch you up on Toni Morrison stuff, but also my question is, I've never been a part of a book club because I fear that what I want from them is this. Like I fear that and that doesn't mean they're not there. I just don't know. But I fear that when I finish reading the book, I do want to fight. Like I want us to engage in rigor instead of being like, "What'd you think? I liked it."
So my book club will offer you what you're looking for.
Are you inviting me?
Shameless plug.
Go ahead, tell the people what's the name of it. You got like 18 book clubs. We're gonna get to all of Morgan's things. Which one are we talking about?
We're talking about my virtual book club that meets once a month. It's Pretty Little Bookshelf. So if you're on my Instagram, there's a link and it'll say join the club, and you can join the club through there.
Do you want to talk at all about what y'all are reading or what? Because this is a book club, but mostly Black. All Black?
It's individuals of color. So this month we are reading Keeper of Lost Children by Sadiqa Johnson. Last month we read Parable of Sower by Octavia Butler. In January we read When Sleeping Women Wake by Emma, I don't know how to pronounce her last name, but she's a debut author, and it's set in China, and the ways that specifically when we think of women from the Asian diaspora, they are more submissive. And so with that book saying like when sleeping women wake, the ways that they were called to like be activated when war came, and the contributions that they made that are not acknowledged but made a huge difference in the area that we know today.
I want to shift a little bit only because, by the way, if you invite me to your book club, just know I am going to.
I can't do too many tangents. I can't.
I just need to.
But you know how I am with time. Book club is this amount of time. I'm going to say, Jason, that's a wonderful thought. Let's see if somebody else has a thought.
And this is why I can't be a part of your book club. This is the point I'm trying to make. I can't be a part of nobody's book club because I'm trying to like.
It's not your book club. We are in community.
Right, but I want my question to matter like everybody else's.
Yes, but you can't take up half the time.
No, I just want to lob the question. Okay. I want to feel like I'm. See, it's too late. You've already closed me off. I feel like I want to be. I
didn't want you there anyways.
I want to feel. You think you know a person, right? It's crazy. Look, I know another thing about your life that you value is physical health, all the health, emotional, spiritual, physical, mental health, right? I want to talk a bit about physical health because I know you do the physical health thing, be in the gym, doing the things. You won't eat nothing bad, like, you know what I mean? which is crazy, yeah, which is wild.
The ingredients matter.
The ingredients matter.
Yes.
And so my question is, how are these things connected?
So I think the same way that books fuel your mind and they drive curiosity, and you do have a responsibility in a sense when you're picking out a book, like to say what could be the impact of this book? What is my relationship with that book? Is how I feel about physical fitness and the discipline that is required if you are looking for a certain goal to achieve with that, or when you're eating, like, okay, if I have pizza every day, what is the outcome versus if I have a salad and chicken and rice and things that you're making at home. And so I think there are often times when, like, there's an excuse with books. I think when people are like, well, when I walked in, like, it was just on the table there, so that's what I went for. But you can have an active part in your book search, and you can say, like, well, let me look up this author. Let me see what other works they've done, or what is their position in the world, and is that something that I align with? Because that's also important. And so when you're with fitness, you know, okay, if I'm in there every day, the way that you may feel, I know for me specifically, I wake up at 4:30. No judgment.
In the afternoon, by the way. Wakes up at 4:30 in the afternoon.
I
She's
wake
up a little early for this. I just want to make sure they understand what we're talking about.
Yes.
I don't want them to get the wrong idea about you. She just woke up. No. She's gonna start judging you. I'm about to be like, my God.
She's like, what? So I think the way that you are an active participant in reading is how you can also be in your physical life. And so whether you prefer group fitness classes or individual classes, or if you need a nutritionist, I think those are things that you're investing in yourself. And so the way that you invest in yourself with books, you also invest in yourself with the food and everything. And so me personally, there are no excuses or complaints coming from me. I know what discipline is, and if this is what I want to achieve, I may be uncomfortable. I may not love waking up at 4:30, but I know that when I look in the mirror and I see my shoulders are getting more toned, I'm like, yes,
all right,
that was worth it. I'm very happy.
But let me ask you this, right? Because, so with this analogy, with this metaphor, do you think that books as an object are the mental fitness, or does it matter what exercise you choose to do? Does it matter? Does it matter?
Yes,
yes,
it matters. So the same way that maybe you go to yoga because you're looking for more stretch and like more slowness, there could be a genre for that. Or if you're going and like it's a heavy lift day, there is a genre for that.
Let's talk about romance.
Okay.
What genre is it? Like what is the analog from a romance novel to
fitness?
To fitness.
So I think it would be a full body workout.
I just think this is inappropriate.
However you want to take it, you take it. But if you go to the gym, a full body workout. Romance can also be a full body workout.
I think this is a bit of a cheat answer. I'm not gonna.
Okay, what would you like to know?
Okay, let's break it down. Okay, this is a good exercise. So let's break it down by actual sort of like machines, right? Or less, or even like, body. Like, okay, if you're working on your biceps, you're working on your back, you're working on your legs, or you're running, or right. Toni Morrison, right? This is clearly about sort of endurance.
Yes.
Right. This is a book that requires. This would be you're on a treadmill, it's on an incline. And you're pushing and pushing and pushing because at some point around 10 minutes there's gonna be the runner's high. Yeah. And then you're like, all right, I can do this. This is hard, but I can do this, and it feels good, and it's good for me, and I'm really sweating, and but this is I'm on it, right? Mm-hmm. That's very different than if you're reading, something that is brilliant but maybe a little less strenuous, like Captain Underpants. Mm-hmm. Right? Exactly. You know what I mean? If you're reading Captain Underpants, that may be, 10 seconds of that may be what's the part of yoga where you just lay still?
The dead man, right?
Yeah, like Shavasana, one of them joints. Yeah. That's what that gets like a rest. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Okay, so with that being the rubric, romance,
I think, is maybe a heavy squat day, because when you're squatting, I think yes, there is like the amount of weight that you have on there, but you can also decrease it or increase it. So if you're going for like a personal rep and like you're trying to reach the max, or you can titrate it. And so I think with romance, the genre, you can titrate what you're being exposed to.
Yeah.
So,
Okay.
Yeah.
Good. Thank you for indulging me.
You're welcome.
You know, I've been trying to read more romance. I've been trying to like.
I recommended Kennedy Ryan to him. He has yet.
I know. You know what happens, and this is the thing. And actually, never mind. Because I sometimes. So I think that the genre as a whole, and we'll move on. But I think that the genre as a whole is brilliant, right? I think that like it gets a bad rap for certain reasons. But I feel the way about romance the same way I feel about fantasy. Which is like, hey, here is something that is really, really, really enticing and entertaining, and it works in terms of storytelling, right? This is a storytelling mode that works usually based around tropes. Usually those tropes are known by said readers, and usually those readers are looking for said tropes when they open those books. You're going there for the comfort of those tropes, right? You know they're there. You know you're not gonna get a brand new story, and you're signing up for that, right? I think that's completely fine. Where I always get kind of like, but is that these are oftentimes also the people with the most imagination who never get to use said imagination when making the thing. So I'm always like, man, fantasy, this is the most imaginative human being in the world who wrote this story, and yet it's 2026 and we're still reading about dragons. That doesn't seem strange to anyone else, that we haven't invented new mythological creatures to pepper these stories based on the fact that the writers are the most imaginative humans on the planet. Right? Or given that we have so many ways that one might be able to love, and I get that there are sort of like patterns in our love habits, it would be interesting. Like I feel the same way, right? And so I guess my question about romance is, should I, like I'm always looking for romance that feels as delicious as Morrison. Like I want to. That's all. Like I'm with it. I want to be enraptured. I want to feel all the things, but I just also want to feel like this person really was like, hey, it's this word or not this one, or we don't need all of these words, right? Or we don't even have to explain this part of it because it's really hard to write sex in a way that's not gross. Right? Not because sex is gross, but because we already know what sex is. And by the time it's written, it's like, Like I've like flipped through to read sex scenes, and I'm so like, is this really what we on? Like, and that's cool, because I think there's a space for it. But I would wonder, like, is there a way for us to turn romance into, I don't want to say high, because I don't want to sort of delineate in that way, but into something that feels, I don't know the word that's not disrespectful, because I don't want to say sophisticated, because I think you can have, you know what I mean? Do you know what I'm saying?
Well, so I also think with those two genres, though, for people who are coming back to reading, that is also an opportunity for you to connect. So maybe you haven't read since college. And so I would say like romance and fantasy are sometimes the gateway back into reading.
Fair enough, and I can't be mad at that. What's one genre you wish you read more of? Or a genre that you are a little bit tepid about?
Well, so I think
I never see you talk about poetry.
Well, okay, for
Alexa,
poetry,
she never talks about it.
For poetry, I would like you all to like be reading it to me. I am not reading that correctly. Is what I feel.
Alexa,
I know. So
please engage.
Also, what's your sign?
Yeah, let's really get to the nuts and bolts. Yeah, this is how this goes, by the way.
So
you know Alexa?
Yes, that's my friend. Yes,
that's what I figured.
Yes. So I think for poetry, it is very beautiful when you are performing it. When I am reading it on the
Most disrespectful
page,
thing I ever heard.
When I am reading it on the page, I don't have that flair. Like the way that I hear you say it is not how I read it. So the beauty is missing for me.
But most poets you've never heard.
What do you mean?
Most poets, most poetry.
Has been written, has not.
You've never heard them read it. Which means that your way of reading it is the correct way of reading it.
But would you say that oral history and the way that we capture our stories orally passed down is truly
What, as like an African principle? Because we also wrote.
Right, I know that. I know that.
Pretty
I'm
much invented it.
acknowledging. Listen,
I
I'm
just
not,
didn't
I'm
know.
not. I'm not gonna fight with you.
No, I'm just saying. You're fighting with Alexa. I'm just trying.
I like fighting with Alexa.
No, I'm just saying the truth is that there are probably a lot of people in this room who are intimidated by poetry, right? We read so much of everything, right? If you're here and you know what we're doing here on this particular day, we're talking about reading a lot, obviously.
Yeah.
And so many of us are readers, I hope. And if you're not a reader, like, I ain't judging you, but we can start.
I can
Today's
change
the day
that,
to start.
promise.
Yeah. And so I think like we could read, like, we talk all the time about, like, oh, there's romance and there's literary fiction, contemporary fiction, historical fiction, there's nonfiction, there's creative nonfiction, there's true crime, and there's essay work, and there's all.
Yeah.
And then we get to the poetry and everyone's just like, ah.
Well, okay. Part of it is when I go to pick up a novel and like there's a lot of words on the page versus with poetry. Listen, with poetry, you don't use all of that space, and so I cannot for myself. Listen. $30, but I'm not getting the same thing.
Oh, it's an economic thing.
That's a lot of pages.
You know what's wild is that if it weren't me sitting here, I would almost let you get away with it. But the truth is, there is not a poetry collection on the planet that costs $30. There's not unless you're buying the collected works.
No, there are.
If you buy a single volume, right? How long is a single volume? It's like what? It's a page limit. It's 80 pages or something like that. I promise you. And they're never paper, but they're never hardback.
Right.
Ever.
It's gonna be $17.
It's gonna be about $17.
I could get a romance novel for $17. Romance comes out in paperback.
So basically,
like,
what I
almost
just want to make sure I know what you're saying, because I want to make sure we get it on the record. So in the way that I try very hard to not delineate between romance and one of the other versions of fiction, you're telling me, oh, no, there's a clear delineation between the value of poetry and the value of fiction.
That sounds crazy.
I'm just asking. I'm asking you.
That's not what I said.
I just want you to help me clarify. No, I'm just saying.
Those were fighting words.
That is kind of what she said.
I'm getting more bang for my buck.
You're like, why would I get that when I could get a romance novel?
Sure, yes. So more
I know
bang
this is
for
not
my
what you came for, but this is what you came for.
more bang for my buck. And so I think in the same breath where people are saying, oh, I would go to McDonald's over Sweet Green.
All right, let's change the subject. So in poetry is McDonald's?
I'm just saying from an economic standpoint.
So basically you're like, Rita Dove is McDonald's.
No, oh my gosh, she's not.
But these romance novels, that's vegetables. All right, I'm gonna let you live. We're gonna move on. Listen, if you are, let's say, what advice would you give somebody out here who might want to start a book club? And look, I think, as somebody who's never joined a book club, I do think they're interesting, especially when they've been able to be sustained. You've been doing this for a very long time, and I want to talk about the walking joint in a second too. But what, like, let's say that, we got youngins in the crowd, we've got all people from all sorts of walks of life. What exactly, I love when I hear about my homeboys who got book clubs where, like, they're dad friends. It's like, yeah, me and my guys, we all dads, we read and I'm like, oh, that's dope. You know what I mean? Like, that's interesting. Like, what would you say is the key to a sustainable book club? Like, how do you start one and how do you sustain it? Because I've heard stories about book clubs being like, we read this month and then I never saw these fools again. Right? It's like we never reconvened.
I think keeping joy at the center of it.
Fighting like this.
Yes.
That's why you need me to come on and
Yes,
spice it up.
I do. But keeping joy at the center of it. So I think sometimes, specifically with historical fiction, some people may steer away from it because they're like, oh, it's heavy, or I don't want to read about that, or it's all the same. But I think it's beautiful to see how people existed during these times when it was war and extreme hardships, but they were still able to find joy. They were still able to fall in love. They were still able to have families and foster friendships. And so with book club, taking those same themes, this is an opportunity for us to foster relationships. It's an opportunity for me to say, I don't know who you are, but you're human. I'm interested in learning more about you. And this book is the conduit for us to do that.
Before we open it up to questions, talk a bit about I always call it the walking joint, but what's it called?
It's called Pages on the Path.
Pages on the Path. We're gonna work on the title. What I want. I like the walking
critic.
joint is fire. Did you make that up? Yeah. How you feel about it? Okay. All right.
Okay,
We'll talk about it later. So
it's an audiobook walking club. Everyone.
This is the most brilliant idea, by the way, and I hope you all get involved. I'm not joking at this point. I hope you all get involved with this.
So everyone listens to their own book for 3 miles is what we walk. And there are moments where we do stop and we talk. And so maybe I'm reading Toni Morrison and you're reading S.A. Cosby. And it's like, oh, I've never heard of S.A. Cosby before, so now I'm adding a new book to my TBR, and you're adding Toni Morrison to yours. For April, we're doing a special walk where we're having an author join us for the walk, and so the author is Elle, and her new book is The Company We Keep. And so with it, it's really an opportunity for us, again, to come together. I think, as you said from the beginning, when we think about reading, it's isolated. And although you're listening to your own audiobook, I find that people who are readers, or maybe it's an adult thing, sometimes you like doing your own thing, but near someone. Like you're not engaging in the same thing, but it's like we're doing it together. And this has been an opportunity for that. And so whether you are looking to like speed walk those 3 miles or take it at a leisurely pace, it's really an opportunity for you to come and be. And so usually we do it in the mornings. So it's like you start your morning with a walk, with some community, a cup of tea, and then you go about your day. And you can say that you're working towards your reading goal.
And they can find it.
Pretty Little Bookshelf again. And then the audiobook club does have its own page, Pages on the Path.
All right, now for some questions.
Thank you both for this conversation. It's been really great. This is my first time here, and I'll definitely be back. But since the theme of today's talk is maintenance, I would love to know what book is restorative to the both of you every time you read it. For me, it's Makes Me Want to Holler by Nathan McCall. It's a heavy book,
Classic.
But one that evokes a lot of empathy from me. So while heavy requires a lot of like mental work, does soften my heart in a really nice way. So I would love to know what books do the same for you.
So I guess this is, I'll be exposing myself. I have never reread a book.
That's cool. It's okay. It's a safe space. It's, you know.
So, I mean,
I'm fighting against my instinct to keep safety for you. You know what I'm saying?
yes. So, but I will say music does that for me. And so in the mornings, I have a smooth jazz playlist that I'll listen to. And specifically, there's a few songs in there where the first time I listened to them, I was with my grandma. And so like when I hear those, it's restorative, and like I think of her, and it's like, this is beautiful, and in a moment that's special for me that I can keep coming back to.
And for me, it's Salvage the Bones by Jasmine Ward. Salvage the Bones is like, I don't know, it's something about that book that just does it for me. Even though it's a tough book, it does things to me. All right, we'll go with Maxie.
Days do you do book clubs?
Which days do I do book club? So usually it's the last Saturday, excuse me, that's false. The last Sunday of the month, but for this month in particular, it's tomorrow evening, because that's when the author was available to join us virtually.
That's really cool.
It's pretty cool. Maybe you can come, yeah? Yes.
All right, and Isla.
What do you do in the book club besides read?
It's a good question. This is what I want to know. What is the point? What are we doing at this thing besides read?
So yes, you read, but then you know how after you finished reading Winging It and you started telling me about it and you were really excited and you're like, I want to read more graphic novels, and then we looked on the back and you saw that author wrote other books. So that's what you could do at book club. You can say, hey, I really enjoyed this. maybe you'll like it too, because you started telling me about Wing It. So I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm really excited. I want to read this book. And then we saw what other books there are. So then we can continue the book club and say, okay, next month, let's read that book together. And you just keep going and going. Cool?
Cool. Yep.
Hi, great job. I'm really shocked by your whole Sweet Green McDonald's thing, but I'm gonna let it go. I'm gonna let it go. As someone who also started a book club in a lot of different ways, like with friends and also at work, and hearing this analogy of like good ingredients and like what are the ingredients that make something, I'm thinking about like what are the ingredients that make book club, and how, to the point of like sustainability. I love arguing at book club. Like we just finished reading Hijab Bitch Blues, and I'm like, I want to argue about everything, right?
Yes.
And at work, that's kind of hard to do, but it is also really fun, and the people who want to be there. But like, what are the ingredients that make this book club, or what you would recommend for any book club, successful and sustainable?
I think having discipline yourself. So if you are the host, holding yourself accountable to say, okay, this is the book that we're reading next month. You're letting everyone know that you're reading it. So like put it on your calendar. Like if I know for one of my best friends, if I put something on her calendar as like a hold, that means we're doing the thing. So like there's no excuses like, oh, well, I didn't have a chance to read the book. Like we gave each other enough notice. So it's really the investment of time. Like you said that you want to be a part of this community. I know there's a lot of talk right now about like being a villager and being a part of a village. And Jason and I were talking like in relationships, in order for it to truly be fruitful, you will be inconvenienced. And so if you want to be a part of a book club, you want to be a part of a community, that effort of reading the book may be inconvenient. You work, you're tired, but I said I'm going to be there on April 15th. So what do I need to do to make sure that I'm there?
Thank you. Excellent job. I just wanted to say, because you opened with explaining how this was done rather sloppily. This was not at all what I expected, in the best possible way, in the best possible way. And the point that you made about, because I'm not a permanent member of a book club. I did sign up for Pages on the Path.
Yes.
Path on the Pages, whatever.
Pages on the Path.
Yes.
We're working on it.
We're working
on it.
Yes,
You know
whatever.
what I mean?
Yes, I like the name. It wasn't until Jason said something. I like it. Yeah, I like it. So
I think Alex Elle came up with the name. She right there in the front, everybody, just so you know.
This is a supportive friend.
But I like two things. I like the point that you made about book clubs, because I've dropped in and out. I'm not a permanent member of any particular book club, but like book clubs have been started in my office, at my church, a Bible study, whatever. It is something about just the proximity with like-minded readers. You know what I mean? Even if I never finish the book or never come back again, there is something about the community in terms of being in proximity with people who share that same kind of interest, which I'm drawn to. Also, what you said about reading to your lover, because I just wrote that in my diary. So should it be God's will for me to have a husband?
Manifest it.
Listen, so thank you for that.
Of course.
And my question for each of you, because you are involved in, having conversations such as these in different spaces, and you do all the things that you do, Morgan, where is your preferred space, if you have a preferred space, to read, to indulge, to engage, if you have one?
This is a good question, because there's so many. I don't know. For me, actually, I should defer. What?
No, go ahead.
I don't know.
It's for both.
Because it depends on the book. There are some books, books can be a slog, but they can also romanticize parts of your life depending upon the context and the book itself, right? So there are certain books that are really beautiful books to read on a train. Yes. Right? And then there are other books that are really great books. I read a lot in the bath. I'm a bather. You know what I mean?
That's better than not being a bather.
No. I'm not. There are some people who are washers. I'm saying I got to submerge.
Is there a tub that fits you?
I had a mate.
Okay,
yeah. I had a mate. I'm sure there's a name, an ist for that comment.
No, you are very tall.
You know what I mean? So,
you are very tall.
But I read a lot in the bathtub just because I can't have I don't trust myself to have technology in the bath. because I don't want to die, right? And so because of that, even though our phones, they be like, you could drop your phone now, it don't matter. I'm like, I don't trust it, right? So I just read in the bathtub because it just makes sense to me. So I think it depends. I think it depends.
For me, I either love reading specifically on the beach with sunrise, because I'm a morning person. So like if I do my morning
4 a.m. Yeah.
Whatever. Yeah, so like a walk before, and then I like set myself up. I have my picnic blanket, all my snacks, I have my book, and like as the sun is rising, I'm there reading the book, and it just feels very like peaceful for me. And if it's not there, I like finding different parks. So outside is my preferred place to be. Yeah.
Morgan doesn't read in the wintertime, just so you know.
I do.
It's okay. Yeah.
Out of when you guys have the book club, what's your favorite book to read? I mean, to choose from, and what
For
is your
book club,
Yes.
we read a lot of historical fiction, literary fiction, and romance. And I think they all, the way that you are able to form a relationship with the characters when you're reading is nice to see when people are sharing. So like example with When Sleeping Women Wake, not to spoil it, because I won't do that to you all, but there's a mother-daughter relationship. And I think mother-daughter relationships are very interesting to read about. And so when we all came together, it was you were bringing your relationship with your mom to the conversation. And well, maybe you haven't spoken to your mom in a while, or maybe you're very close with your mom, but as Jason said, your own experiences also influence your relationship with the book. And so I think that is that is something that I enjoy about book club.
What's that? Oh, brilliant book.
Yeah.
All right, we're going to take these last two. We're going to go here, and then we're going to do you last, Christine.
Hey, Morgan, how are you?
Good, how are you?
I got a chance
You
to...
will speak to me, Tony.
What's up,
I am the
Jason?
esteemed guest.
It's weird. I'm like, but you also know me. Also, I'm like, that's weird. Go ahead, brother.
All right. So I got a chance before Elizabeth Catlett died to hear her being interviewed by Samela Lewis, who is a visual artist. And Elizabeth called out Samela for sacrificing her own career as an artist to go ahead and basically spread the word about other black artists, right? And so I think about you in that same way, right? Being a literary curator, you have to sacrifice a whole lot of your time when it comes to reading these artists. And I'm sure that when you were born, literary curator wasn't what you said you wanted to be. And so I guess what I want to ask you is, this being a labor of love, what aspects have you had to sacrifice when it comes to your own aspirations to go ahead and spread the gospel of all of the wonderful authors that you get a chance to engage with?
That's a beautiful question. Thank you. I would say, for me personally, the work that I do, it doesn't feel like a sacrifice. It feels like this is what I have been called to do, and I think that it's important for me to use my time, gifts, and talents to do this. And so I would say that, I would say time is like the one resource that we won't get back. So it's more thinking about how am I using my time, and is that something that I am grateful for, or that I think is somehow also feeding me. And with the work that I'm doing, I think both it is providing impact for the community, but when I engage with all of you and I'm able to have conversations with the authors, I get so much back too. So I wouldn't say that the sacrifices that I'm making are a negative. I think it's all valuable and important.
I wanted to go back to what you were talking about, Jason, with the breaking tropes and changing expectations. How do you think that there are people writing books that defy expectations that can't get them published? I mean, I think about all Ain't Burned All the Bright. Like, you're the only one who could have got that put out, don't you think?
At that time, yeah. I think, so the short answer is yes, but also, I think that in this particular country, we don't read translated works. So the real, to me, a lot of this stuff does exist. It's already out there. America is just too arrogant to translate it so that we can read it. The American publishing system, right? You go around the world and everybody's reading the world. And then you come home and we're only reading home. And because of that, what happens is we sort of are in an echo chamber. I love doing stuff like Amber and All the Bright because we then say like, man, Jason did Amber and All the Bright. This is impossible. This could have never existed. And I'm like, actually, it does exist. You just haven't seen it because it can't be published in America. But these books like that exist all over the world, you know. And I think that's really the thing. So which makes me say to you all, please read. Go to the translated section in your bookstores.
That was going to be my answer if you had actually let me answer your question.
She asked me the question.
No. When we got on this poetry thing, you had asked me what's the genre that I think I should read more of, and I was going to say translated works. But
well, given your response to the question about poetry, it's clear you should be reading translated works. My last question to you, Morgan. My last question to you is: look back to your 10-year-old self. I've asked everybody this question. You've heard me ask this question before, yeah? Yeah. So did you think about the answer? Nope. Okay. So look back to your 10-year-old self, and the question is: what would you thank 10-year-old Morgan for?
I would thank her for being playful. I think there's a lot of conversations that you and I have where, like, I share how I'm disciplined and I need control, and when I feel out of control, it's unnerving for me. But 10-year-old Morgan wasn't concerned about those things. She was playing. She was just having fun and excited to be in the present moment. And so I would thank her for reminding me that I still need to be present. And regardless of how curated I want something to be, it doesn't matter if I'm not present in that moment.
Word. To close out, I want to say, you know, what'd you say? Reverse the question. Reverse the question? No. That's not how it works, you know? And you know what I mean? One day we'll get my answer. Today is not the day, but one day. I want to close out by saying this. Look, I give Morgan a lot of flack just because it's like little sis, but I want to be clear about, despite the McDonald's sweet green.
We don't have to keep bringing it up.
I know, but just hear me out. We're about to close out. I just want to say, despite the McDonald's sweet green thing, I think that there are people maybe on the outside of this room who would look at the book club as a McDonald's. And what I would argue to them is that not only is the book club more of the sweet green, I would also argue that it's more like, it could be more like sanctuary. And it could be more like these are and I want to make sure that as we leave the space, that maybe it is something that you should consider, right? If you feel like you could use a little extra accountability or even just a little extra community to find one of these clubs. There's a lot of them. I like Morgan's club, obviously, and she got a lot of them herself. But find a book club to join, one that fits and suits your needs, one that might challenge you a bit, one that might hold you accountable, and one that might introduce you to people that you don't know. I like this space because there's a lot of people in here that I do not know, right? And we get to sort of exchange ideas and have a couple of moments of communion before we go back out into a city that can sometimes feel pretty cold. So I want to say, all jokes aside, that I think you're doing spirit work and community work and heart work, and I hope that you stay steady on the path as this beautiful thing, the many beautiful things you've created, continue to grow.
Thank you.
All right, give it up for Morgan Menzies.
Round of applause. Big round of applause. Thank you so much. Morgan Menzies, also known as Pretty Little Bookshelf. Jason Reynolds, also known as Troublemaker. Thank you both so very much. Give y'all selves a round of applause. Was this not amazing, y'all? The Reading Lounge is back this summer, and we want y'all to join us for that. So be sure to stay tuned. Sign up for Planet Word's newsletter, planetwordmuseum.org. That way you get all the latest info and updates on upcoming events and programs, including the Reading Lounge. We will be announcing more soon, so be sure to stay tuned for that. Once again, thank you all so much.